you want a dog that respects your space, and if it jumps on you, the legs are not stiff. And this is more towards finding a shelter dog or getting one from a private individual, a pet dog that is being rehomed. You want a dog that when you let it out of the run and into an exercise area, it interacts with you and it doesn't just run off. The last one on that list, the no anal contact, sounds a little disgusting, and it really is. Sue Sternberg does a lot of shelter dog research, and she finally nailed it. There were some dogs that they were disgusting. She didn't want to be around them. She didn't like them, and she could not figure out. I mean, they were your typical annoying teenage dogs, but there was something else about them. And she finally figured out, watching videos, that that's what it was. There were dogs that they would actually make anal contact, leaning up against or sitting on a foot or something like that. Most dogs will kind of float. If they're sitting on your foot, they're just kind of floating above. They're not making actual anal contact, or they're not brushing up against you and actually touching you. And those dogs were the extremely pushy dogs. Dogs like that you would not want to have anything else to do with, especially for service work. The dog that you would be looking at prefers the company of people to animals or anything else. If they get surprised by something, they need to have a quick recovery time, just a few seconds or so, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, but that's a long time. And that's because going out in public, you're going to be running into a lot of things, and you can never predict it. They need to be comfortable on a variety of surfaces, and you want a dog with soft eyes. And then if you do a stare test, and if you're going to be looking for a dog, or if your clients are going to be looking for a dog, you want to make sure that they do their research and they're looking up everything. And for quite a while, they need to be researching. But the stare test is the dog is in the run, and you drop down at their level and you stare at them. And a dog that would be good for service work is going to gently turn away or look down and look away. A dog that's going to be very pushy or possibly aggressive is going to move towards you. It's going to stare harder, or it's going to, maybe the hackles go up, the dog stands up on its toes or something like that. Those are all things that you need to watch out for. Except for sight hounds, like greyhounds, they don't continuously stare off into the distance. And even the sight hounds, the greyhounds, I think they're going more and trying to train them to look at the people more, because whatever the dog is thinking about or looking at, that's what they're thinking about. But if you go to evaluate a pet dog or a shelter dog, some of them will stare off into the distance. Some of them sometimes will jump up on the run and be happy to see you, and then as soon as they get what they want, which is out of the run, then you don't exist. They're looking at everything else. That's not a dog you want. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you want to test these different things, and you actually take backpacks, walk and buy dogs, do all of that, interact with them in the run, take somebody else with you, and see how they interact with them. You lean up against the run and see what the dog does. Squat down and see what the dog does. All very important things to find out how the dog interacts. You've also got to be aware that if you get a dog from a shelter or from another home, that it's going to act differently after it adjusts. There'll be a honeymoon period, and you won't see, the dog will be an absolute angel because it's in a strange place. Once it scopes everything out and gets the lay of the land, it's like, oh. And you can see the difference. They are standing a little bit taller, they're a little more confident, they may start barking, etc. And you'll see a whole lot of different traits come out that you didn't see in that first 2-week honeymoon period. So if you get a dog from a shelter, or your clients get a dog from a shelter, they need to be aware of that there can be these problems. They have to have a plan. What are they going to do with this dog if it doesn't work out? Any owner trainer has to have that in the back of their mind. What am I going to do with that dog if it doesn't work out? Because otherwise, Like if Karen hadn't had people to take her dog, then she would have, what would she have done? How many dogs can you have in one home? How many dogs can you support? And each dog that you add detracts from the time that you're spending with the new dog and with the other dogs and the training time and everything else.
I have a quick question. Should you go about, like, if you're going to get a shelter dog or, adopt another dog, do you need to do it like you would do a regular house pet? If it's old enough to know the basics of right and wrongs and whatever, should you just go ahead and let that dog choose you? Because that's the way I look at a pet. Just because you like that dog doesn't mean that you and that dog's going to jihad.
I'm not following what you're asking.
Okay, see, like, if I went up to look at this dog and her other dog, because they were up for adoption, this one didn't pay no attention to me, but this one come right to me. Should you pick, like if you're gonna adopt a shelter dog, should you pick them like you would a house pet, let it pick you? Because just because you like the way it looks or whatever, you may not get along.
Yeah, that takes some experience in where you might want to have somebody go along with you. Some trainers will go with you to look at dogs, or just have a friend that's good with dogs. Because some of the dogs that want to be with you, like I was saying on some of this, they may not want to be with you in a good way. They may want to be with you because they're going to push you around. They may want to be with you because they think that they can be in charge, and that's their personality. So just when you look at a litter of puppies, is a perfect example. You've got some of the puppies that are climbing all over the person and you can't get them off. You try blocking, you try getting them off, and they're still trying to climb on you, lick you, and they just love me so much. Well, they're rude.
Well, no, I'm just saying, it shows its basic interest in you, like, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? But if it's like unruly or whatever, no. But yeah.
Yeah, and then again, unruly can just be that they have no manners, that they've never been taught anything else. But it's the dogs that are extreme pushy, the dogs that, and there's an edge to them. You want to stay away from those dogs. The dog that is back in a corner may end up being a nice pet dog. I had one that it took me at least 20 minutes to get out of the corner to barely sniff my hand. She was an excellent pet dog, but she would in no way be a service dog. She might have been a hearing dog that needed to just stay in the home. She would have been good for that, but she wouldn't have been good for a public access service dog. The dog that is constantly on top of you and pushy and all that, somebody might, they might be able to deal with it at home, but in public and for training it for everything is going to be a very, very difficult dog to work with. And a lot of times with having disabilities, you don't necessarily have the time and the patience to deal with some of it, because sometimes just getting through the day is enough of a challenge, let alone having an extremely pushy or rude dog to deal with. You want to research breeds and breeders, like Karen was talking about. Not all breeders breed for certain things, for traits that you want in a service dog. Sometimes they might breed for conformation. Conformation doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a comfortable, calm, confident dog out in public, or be interested in retrieving over and over and over again when you drop a handful of change. So knowing the difference between a show line and a working line, golden retrievers, working lines are quite often, and border collies, working lines have more energy, and they want to go, and they want to go, and they want to do things constantly. As a show line is going to be more laid back. If you've got a dog from a show line and it's very laid back and it looks absolutely beautiful, it may not want to pick up again that handful of change. It may not have that drive to keep doing it over and over again. If you're looking for a PTSD service dog or a psychiatric service dog that's going to interrupt a depression, a show dog that's very laid back may not have the drive to keep bumping you and bumping you and bumping you and pawing you and nudging you and bugging the snot out of you to get you up out of your depression. They're just going to go, oh, you don't want to get up? Okay, well, I'll just lay down here and wait for you. So you want to, it can be really difficult finding the perfect dog. Whereas for some people, the working lines are way too pushy and energetic and all that, and they can't deal with a dog with that high drive. So again, it might pick up change all day long, but it's not a dog that you can live with if you're sick. You don't want to, you want to be careful of the backyard breeders. Oh, my dog is so nice, so I'm going to breed it with the dog down here, and they've not been checked for hips and eyes and elbows and things like that. They may turn out to be a really good dog, but you just want to be cautious. You don't want to save a puppy from a puppy mill. If you save a puppy from a puppy mill and you go to the place and look at it and, oh, the conditions are filthy and the dogs are kept in small cages, so you're going to rescue this dog and buy it so it doesn't have to be exposed to that. You've just promoted or just encouraged that puppy mill. So you want to be careful about that. On the pet stores, typically they get their dogs from brokers who go out to the puppy mills and buy the puppies and bring them over there. So you want to be careful of that. And I'm not going to go through all of this stuff with the breeders, but they should know about their dogs, they should know about their parents, and they should be able to be doing temperament tests and tell you which puppies might fit your personalities. You want to find out, do they have contracts? Can you alter or not alter the dogs? You don't want to walk around with an unaltered dog out in public. For the females, there's a couple of times a year you're not going to be able to take that dog in public, or you shouldn't. You know, when they go into season, a male dog may be distracted by females that they can smell 5 miles away. So altering is required for some programs, and it's highly suggested for any other service dog. They may have an older dog like Karen got, who had been shown, and so she was used to everything and can pretty much walk out, learn a couple of tasks, and it's good to go for a service dog. And you don't have to take that whole 2 years to train them for all the public access, because they've been exposed to so much. It's like, okay, I've been around 1,000 barking dogs, who cares? So that's a really good one. Again, caveats, 2 years is a long time, as you saw with Karen. And you need to assess your energy levels and activity levels. Diane had worked with her other dogs and trained them in a lot of things, but when she started training Yonker for the service work and she had no support, it was just a little too much for her now. And so it was really extremely stressful for her. So you want to make your plans, what to do with the dog if it doesn't work out, the lifespan, how long you're going to be able to have that dog working, and what are you going to do with a retired dog. As you saw with Karen, it can be a lot. She had 3 dogs at one time. So it can be a lot to maintain. The VA will only pay for covered dogs as long as they are a working service dog. So once that dog retires, the VA is not going to be paying for any support for it. So that might be a consideration also. You want to take somebody with you, preferably when you're checking the shelters, because we're all people and we succumb to the sad eyes, and it can be really stressful, and you're not going to see everything. Another pair of eyes to go along with you is an excellent idea. Service Dogs, Inc., which used to be Texas Hearing and Service Dogs, they take 2 people when they go along. And they look at 3,000 dogs roughly in the state of Texas. They find about 65 of them to test further, which means take out of the run and test them a little bit further. And then out of that, on the last bunch, they found 18 of them that they started their 1-year training program with, 3 of which ended up, I don't think they made it they were in an impulse control group. And that's with two people, two experienced people, looking at these dogs. So not everybody's perfect, so you want somebody that has a little different experience and a little different preference with you in dogs to go with you. It's a really good idea to do that. And if the dog interacts, like you were asking, if the dog interacts with the other person and it pretty much ignores you that's going to be using it, you don't want a dog. Maybe your friend wants it, but it's not for you, not for a service dog. And you want to let the shelter workers know that you're looking for a service dog. Sometimes some shelters will take a dog back, like the Greyhound Rescue will take the dog back. Some of the breed rescues will take the dog back. And that's an excellent situation because the dog goes back and they've got some training and things like that. Especially if it's within a short time, they've had some training and they're able to be put up for adoption. Some of the shelters don't want you to bring the dog back to them. So you need to, what are you going to do? You've adopted this dog, what are you going to do with it? Maybe you can foster it, and that would be a good situation to evaluate it for a month or so and see if it'll work. Sometimes the workers can keep an eye out for you, and when they see the perfect dog come in, they can let you know. And so talking to them and getting to know them is a really, really good idea. There's other ones like Hotel for Cats and Dogs. I was told at one time they did not want their dogs being adopted out for service dogs because they thought they should be pet dogs and just loved their entire life. Not knowing that service dogs are greatly loved. They have a wonderful life. They get to go everywhere and do everything, which most dogs get to stay in the backyard and just be loved. So.
How long ago was that?
A couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
So you want to be prepared to spend a lot of time. And like I said, Texas Hearing and Service Dogs, they go all over the state of Texas looking for dogs. They have an excellent success rate because they are very, very picky on their dogs. There he is, there's Yonkers. And he came from a breed rescue. So there's a new lab or a new retriever rescue in this area. There's the Greyhound rescues. There's a golden retriever rescue. So again, you talking to those people, let them know what you're looking for. What you're actually looking for is the perfect dog, the one that is a most amazing dog that you have ever seen, and that's the perfect service dog. Do you want to know the characteristics of the breeds you don't want? Like there's a lot of pit bull mixes around, a lot of chow mixes. Those don't necessarily make good service dogs. They might, but they can have different breed characteristics. Shepherds and labs, hip dysplasia, things like that. So you want to know about what problems there could be and what you don't want. The shelters, the ones around here, they put down pit bull mixes, so some of them do. So they'll call them other things. And but you can kind of look and it's like there's some definite things. It's like it's probably a pit bull mix. A dog with spots on its tongue, there's a high chance that it's a chow mix with black spots on its tongue. Some of those can be a little iffy to deal with in public. So you want to be aware of it. DNA tests don't prove a thing. They're very inaccurate. And again, I mentioned with the larger breeds, they can have a very short working lifespan. So if you've got a boxer that only lives on average for 10 years and it takes 2 years for you to train it, it's going to be slowing down about the time it gets 6 years old or so. So you've got 4 years of working that you can count on. This is a list that I use for the shelters, and if you want a copy of it, I can email it to you. I have, you want to fill this out before you go to the shelter, and these are some of the things to look for. You want to keep in mind, because you see all those sad, sad eyes and all those wagging tails and all the ones that are jumping up and coming and say, oh, I love you. And when you want to have an idea and this is what I'm looking for. You have to be really, really careful. So you go through all of these. And with your clients, you may, if they're talking about it, you may